Hello, hello, NCLEX Crusaders. How are you? Good afternoon. I hope you can hear me well. And welcome to today's training, to today live on our YouTube channel, NCLEX Crusade International. If you can hear me, comment yes, I can hear you, I can see you in the comment section, and let's begin. All right, I can hear. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me share a PowerPoint presentation with you. Here it is. Perfect. So hopefully you can see my PowerPoint presentation there. And let's begin with today's training. All right, sounds good. First time in the YouTube channel, okay, welcome. If you're brand new here for first time in our YouTube channel, let me know so I can give you the appropriate welcoming to our channel. All right, so let's talk about today's training. If you are a nurse and your dream is to become a registered nurse in the US, today's training is to discuss with you 4 abilities that you need to develop to become a successful US RN. So today we're going to discuss some very interesting points. This is going to be a series that we're going to be doing for the next few weeks on how to become a successful registered nurse. Tell me if you are excited about this, because I'll tell you that I'll probably save you from a lot of headaches, a lot of undesired, unnecessary headaches. So if you're ready to begin today's training, let me know. Comment in the comment section. Remember to like and share this YouTube live so other nurses around the world can see it. Thank you for supporting our YouTube channel. Almost getting there, close to 100 and I believe it's 110,000 subscribers. We're growing little bit by little bit. Thank you for sharing our content all over social media. I've seen my content on definitely YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, a lot on TikTok. I see a lot of you sharing the 7-day training on TikTok. So thank you for that. Okay, Karen, thank you very much. All right, very good. So let's begin. So ability number 1, you have to become a professional organizing your schedule. I repeat that again. You have to become a professional organizing your schedule. See, many nurses around the world have that desired dream to come to the US and become a registered nurse in the US. But in order for that to happen, a lot of things need to be in place in order for that to happen. Some of you are already here in the United States, and the only thing that is preventing you from making that dream come true is an exam, which you know and I know is called the NCLEX exam. So we're going to talk about today how to organize your schedule to make this happen. How many of you agree with these statements? Many nurses have the knowledge but lack in organization. See, it's not just about studying hard, it's about studying smart. Many nurses spend weeks and months studying and studying and studying. When they go to the NCLEX, they fail. What's going on? What is the problem? There are some questions that you need to be asking yourself. If you are going to the NCLEX and you're failing the NCLEX even after studying, the question that you need to be asking is, what am I doing wrong? Thank you very much. I forgot about that. What am I doing wrong? And there be light. Now there's light. So what are you doing wrong? Because it's not okay to go to the NCLEX 1, 2, 3, 4 times and fail. Something you're doing wrong. It not only can mean that you're studying the wrong content, it could be maybe that you're not applying the correct strategies, but are you studying the right way and are you doing it in an organized manner? So I want to talk to you about organizing your schedule to become a successful nurse. Time management is essential for anybody. For anybody that want to do anything in their life, time management is an important ability to develop. But as a nurse studying for the NCLEX, time management is crucial. And if you do not control it, it will control you. So we recommend for you to use time blocking method, a time blocking method where you decide a specific amount of hours that you want to dedicate to studying for the NCLEX. So time blocking is important. I suggest each one of you have some kind of calendar, whether it is an electronic calendar or an actual physical calendar. But in there, I want you to select what hour time frame are you going to dedicate for studying. And here's the key. Do it every day until you pass the NCLEX. Of course, you can have one day off. It is usually recommended, but do something every day towards your goals and dreams. A question that you need to ask yourself is, what I'm doing now, is it getting me closer to my dreams or farther away from my dreams? And you have to be honest with yourself. Because if you're making actions that are not inclining you in the direction of your dreams, then that dream is probably either not going to become true or it's going to take a very, very long time. So block some time, use a digital tool or a physical planner, but dedicate some time every day, every week, every month towards your dream, which is to become a registered nurse. Now, depending on where you are in that time frame of becoming a registered nurse, you could be maybe in the application process, or you could be in the beginning phase of NCLEX preparation, or you could be at the end phase of NCLEX preparation. It depends on where you are. But no matter where you are, dedicate some time written down to study in an organized manner. Many students ask me, Professor, how should my schedule look? Is there like some kind of guide of how I should arrange my schedule in order to study in an effective way? Well, this varies depending if you are a full-time student or if you are a part-time student. I'm going to discuss both scenarios with you. The best way is for you to be a full-time student. That is the best because you can do it faster, you can take the NCLEX sooner, and it's just the best way, but it's not the most realistic way because most of you In addition to studying for the NCLEX, you have a family, you have kids, you have work to do, you have responsibilities other than preparing for the NCLEX. Now, let's talk about that one. What if you are a part-time student? Number one, realize that it's going to take you longer. When you're a part-time student, you cannot be thinking about taking the NCLEX in 30 days. That is just not possible. It's not wise. You're probably not going to have good results. If you're studying part-time, you need to be looking at 3 to 6 month NCLEX preparation. And if your English understanding is too low, it could be even more. It could be 6 to 9 months, depending on where your English comprehension is at. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But part-time student, at least try to dedicate 2 hours per day. 1 hour where you're studying content, nursing content, specific nursing content, and 1 hour where you're practicing questions and practicing critical thinking strategies. This is the bare minimum. We're talking about 2 hours per day. And you're gonna do this Monday to Friday, 2 hours per day. This is not a lot, but it's something. Then Saturday, you can dedicate the whole day if you're off that day from your job, and you can do is practice a computer adaptive test, an exam. You can use any of the known question banks and create a what is called a CAT, a computer adaptive test, 85 questions plus, covering all topics. And you're going to do one of those at least once per week on Saturdays. Okay, so this is a starting point. On Sundays, you can either use part of the day to review the questions that you did the previous day, or you can use that time to rest. You can do either or. I personally prefer a 6 days a week studying calendar and taking at least 1 day off. I need my 1 day off. This is how I am. Now, whatever routine you develop, you need to stick to it, and you need to make a ritual, a routine of how you're studying. How many hours you're gonna dedicate to studying? What are you gonna do pre, during, and post study routine? This needs to be written down. It needs to be clear. If you are a full-time student, then this schedule changes a little bit. As a full-time student, the way I usually encourage to do it is to dedicate 8 hours per day studying. And basically, the way I used to do it is I did 4 hours in the morning practicing questions, take an hour break, and then come back in the afternoon and review content. Monday to Friday. Saturday, do a big exam, 85 questions, and take Sunday off. I did that for 30 days, full time, and for me, it worked. I took the NCLEX, and I passed the NCLEX on my first attempt, but I did a lot of questions because I was doing questions, practicing questions daily. So this is a good technique. Now, I also want to talk about developing a technique as you're studying. It is not recommended to study hours and hours without a break because our brains need some rest. So there is a skill or a way to study or a technique that is called the Pomodoro technique. The technique works like this. 25 minutes of studying, 5-minute break. 25 minutes of studying, 5-minute break. Give some time to rest your brain every 25 minutes and continue doing so for that block of study time that you have developed or agreed with yourself to do. So that is important. Okay? So number one, you need to be organized in how you study, how many hours you study, and what you studied during those hours. I see somebody here asking, what advice can you give to a repeat test taker? The students that have gone to the NCLEX and failed, the first thing that you need to determine is you failed, but with how many questions? Many students think that a failure is a failure, but it's not like that. There's different types of failures. If you failed with the minimum amount of questions, it's different than if you failed with the maximum amount of questions. So that is a good question that you can ask yourself. I took the NCLEX, I failed. Okay, how many questions did you fail? If you fail with the minimum amount of questions, that usually represents that you are very weak in content and very weak in critical thinking, or your English comprehension is very low. If you fail with the maximum amount of questions, it usually represents that you are weak in critical thinking. You need to develop that part, critical thinking and the process of elimination using strategies. So that is my first advice. Analyze with how many questions did you fail. Number two, what resources did you use to prepare for the NCLEX? Did you do it by yourself? Did you use a professor online? So what did you use? What method did you use and fail? What type of questions are you practicing? Are you practicing with a good question bank? Or are you practicing questions that you found free of the internet? Or maybe you're practicing questions with a very poor question bank creator. How are you studying? Are you focusing on understanding why? Or are you just trying to memorize a bunch of information? That is important. Very good. Number two, skill number two that you need to develop is not only you need to be organized, but you need to do the proper credentialing process in a correct manner. I have seen so many nurses delaying their whole process just because they made a mistake on an application. Trust me, some boards of nursing, it can be a nightmare to make a mistake and having to wait 6 months for a reply from the Board of Nursing. Some Board of Nursings are faster than others, but you do not want to make a mistake in this process. So the question is, why is it important for you as a nurse to understand the credentialing process or the application process before taking the NCLEX? The credentialing process or the application process is one of the first things that a nurse have to do, even before worrying about the NCLEX. So I want to talk a little bit about that. But I want to make this statement. This is important. Do not wait for your documentation process to be done to begin preparing for the NCLEX. Do both simultaneously. do the application process, do the credential process, but at the same time, start preparing for the NCLEX. So we get this question all the time. What are the actual steps for someone starting the process to become a U.S. registered nurse? Well, step number one is gathering documents from the university, transcripts, diploma, syllabus, syllabi, sending the documents to an evaluation agency if you are an international nurse, agencies such as Justice and Silney. If you are a nurse in the US, usually the process is very easy because the university sends it automatically to the Board of Nursing of your choosing. But regardless, everybody needs to do an application. Make sure you're doing that the correct way. For international nurses that they have documents that are in a different language, they need to translate those documents with a certified translator. It cannot be done on Google or with AI. It needs to be done by a certified translator. As you're doing this, start thinking on how you're going to prepare for the NCLEX. Some students ask me, Professor, do I need a mentor to pass the NCLEX, or can I do it by myself? That is a good question. I will tell you, are there nurses out there that can fully prepare for the NCLEX by themselves and pass? Absolutely. I was one of them. I did it myself. I didn't pay anybody to prepare for the NCLEX. Yes, there are students, nurses out there that can do it. However, what I have found is that many nurses can't. They lack the discipline, they lack a quality study plan, they lack critical thinking, they lack nursing knowledge. So most of you need a mentor. It is an investment that you need to do on your NCLEX preparation. But it will be better because you're going to be able to do it sooner, faster, get your license, and become a registered nurse. But it's very important that you do everything together. Another part that is important, another pillar for nursing success, is to have the correct knowledge for the NCLEX. There are certain things that you need to develop. You need to develop critical thinking. You need to know how to apply strategies to answer NCLEX question. And of course, you need content. But do not make the mistake of memorizing content. You need to develop the ability to apply nursing knowledge. So how do you do that? What resources can you use to do this? Well, you can use the resource of the NCSBN test plan. NCSBN test plan is a free resource on the website that NCSBN has provided that tells you the categories that you will encounter on the NCLEX. Physiological integrity, psychosocial integrity, safe and effective care environment, management of care. These are important categories that you will see on the NCLEX. This is very important for every nurse, but extremely important for international nurses because maybe the curriculum that you had in your country of origin doesn't use the medical terminology that it is used on the NCLEX. So you need to become familiar with this. Sounders 9th edition is an excellent resource to use for your NCLEX preparation. It's a very ineffective, it's a very low cost product. You can buy it on Amazon. You can get a PDF. You can get the actual hardcover. But it's a good resource to have and study. The problem is that it's a little bit lengthy. It has over 2,000 pages. And some nurses find it a little bit overwhelming. But it is a good resource to have. The way I like to use it is like a dictionary. I need to find about XYZ topic, I go there. So Sounders 9th edition is a good resource. If you need a mentor for NCLEX preparation, you can definitely use NCLEX Crusade. We've been using our platforms to teach over 16,000 students around the world. Our YouTube channels and social media have over 100,000 followers that use our proven system to pass the NCLEX. We provide structured approach to NCLEX preparation here for free on our YouTube channel, but also within our academy. If you're a Latino nurse, if you speak Spanish, we have a very, very in-depth course. It's called the Dominate the Next Generation NCLEX course. So if you're listening to this live transmission and maybe your English is very poor and you're looking for a bilingual resource, a bilingual course, call our academy and get information about our Dominate the Next Generation NCLEX course. And of course, you need a question bank. You need a good question bank to practice questions every single day. Professor, how many questions do I need to be practicing every day? That depends. If you're at the beginning of your preparation, 20, 25 questions may be good. But if you're a month, 2 months from your exam date, you need to be doing at least 85 questions. This is important. Okay? Very good. What question banks do we recommend? At the moment, we recommend either UWorld or Kaplan. In my opinion, my professional opinion, I like those two question banks the most. UWorld is like on the top of the pyramid right now, pretty much. They have solid resources. It's a good question bank to use. Not a lot of prioritization questions to practice, but it's a good resource to use, especially the diagrams and images. They are amazing. Kaplan is another good resource. They touch up a little bit more on prioritization than UWorld in comparison, but either or those two question banks I recommend. Other Q banks, I see the comments that you're making on other Q banks. Many of them, I don't know enough about them to give a suggestion. I just stick with the best that there are right now. Okay? I talked to you about the different categories on the NCLEX. If you've ever taken the NCLEX and obviously you failed, you get a report specifying these 4 categories: physiological integrity, psychosocial integrity, safe and effective care environment, and health promotion and maintenance. These are the categories that I mentioned to you earlier. Each one of them, there is a specific percentage of questions that are going to be covering these categories. I'm not going to get into details about this because you can easily find this on the NCSBN test plan. But it's important to be familiar with these categories. Understand that each of these categories, they're going to have a specific focus that you need to know. But remember, it's not about memorizing, it's about applying knowledge. The last pillar that I wanted to talk to you about today that you need to develop is English proficiency. Many of our followers, they're international students, whether Latino nurses or students from like the Philippines, India, Africa, all over the world. And most of our followers have an English deficiency. English is extremely important. Remember that the NCLEX can only be taken in English or French, never in Spanish or any other language. So you need to become proficient in the English language, but remember the NCLEX itself is not an English test. It's not a test about grammar. It's not a test about listening. It's not a test about speaking. However, you do need English comprehension. Why? There are keywords on the NCLEX that are extremely important and that change everything. I say this all the time in my live classes that NCLEX is such an amazing test that one word can change the whole meaning of the question. It's not the same thing saying which of the following statements indicate understanding of the teaching than saying which of the following statements indicate the need for further teaching. See, 1-2 word there change the whole structure of the question. So you need to become proficient in English to pick up these details, these keywords that change the meaning of a sentence or a scenario. You need to know medical terminology to understand some of the questions that you will see on the NCLEX. So English is definitely an important ability to develop because the exam is in English. Now, some students create flashcards. Some students like to create a vocabulary list of words that they do not recognize. But I believe that some of the best way to learn is by reading the Sounders book and listening to our videos, whether it is on a YouTube channel or inside our academy, our membership, our Dominate course, whatever research you're using from our academy, listening to those videos over and over helps a lot. If you're a Latino nurse, watching those videos that are bilingual will help you tremendously. And I will say this, for bilingual nurses, I recommend our Latino courses because they have so much information. If you only speak English, then of course that will not be a resource for you, but there are resources for you as well. So to summarize, we've talked up today about 4 abilities to develop to become a successful nurse in the US and pass the NCLEX. Number 1, you need to have personal and professional organization. Have a daily structure so you can progress towards your dream little bit by little bit. Manage your time with intention and clarity. Have a strategic plan to know what are your areas of weakness and what are your areas of strength. Become familiar with the NCLEX world using the Sounders book, using a mentor such as NCLEX Crusade, using a question bank to practice questions daily. And lastly, improve your English proficiency. Do not miss our next live. It's going to be next Friday, where we will talk about 4 more pillars of success that you need to become a registered nurse in the US. If you want to get more information about how NCLEX Crusade can help you, you can call the number here on the screen. My advisor that deals with the English side of NCLEX Crusade International can help you answer your questions. The number is 813-319-3603. Make sure, if you haven't seen it, you see our 7-day training on NCLEX preparation. There are many videos there, a few years old, but the information is still high quality and can help you understand critical thinking. Make sure you like our live, share this live with others, and please don't leave the channel until you subscribe so you don't miss the next training. All right, that is it. Call our advisor if you have any questions. 813-319-3603. God bless you guys. See you on the next training.